What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. We're going to do something a little bit different with it being the new year. We're going to do a come with me to my screening for the new action film directed by David Ayer and starring Jason Statham by the name of The Beekeeper. You're going to get my fresh out of theater reaction, my review of the film, and listen, expectations for this film are pretty low. From the trailers, I wasn't too impressed, and listen, I'm not the biggest fan of David Ayer, especially this past decade, so I'm hopeful that it's going to not take itself too seriously. We're going to get some good action, some good puns.
A beekeeper? Well, that's not good.
To being a beekeeper and all, so I'm hopeful that this is going to be a fun film. But before we get into my thoughts and you all see me on the other side, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, share your thoughts and anticipation. Are you excited for this film? And also consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Honey?
All right, what's up, y'all? Elliot here from MovieFiles. Just got out of the theater from seeing The Beekeeper, and we're trying something new. I'm going to do the movie review out and about. We're going to try that this year, see if we can stay safe while doing it. But no, let's talk about The Beekeeper, guys. Listen, starting off with the good, Mr. David Ayer, someone that I've been following his career ever since Training Day, which he was the writer of that film that we all know and love, and one of my favorite Denzel performances. And following his career ever since that, you know, Fury, Sabotage, and then 2016 came around. I'm talking about The Suicide Squad, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, and we all know the Ayer cut is somewhere out there, maybe not see the light of day. Fell into this hole after The Suicide Squad. We're getting into films such as The Tax Collector, Bright, and a couple other projects that I just haven't been the biggest fan of. Like, I feel like he lost himself kind of being so buried in the hope that you'll see his Ayer cut. But putting that aside, I'm happy to say, as a fan of David Ayer, I'm not saying this is on the same levels as Fury and some of his best work, but to me, this is the best film of his in literally over a decade. It's been 10 years since Fury first came out, which is one of his better films, if you ask me. But this is David Ayer not being too convoluted, not David Ayer being too over the top in a certain extent as far as what the story needs and what the action beats need. Like, this is one of his better films in a very long time. So I am hoping that this is the catalyst to kind of propel him to get back to the old school kind of, you know, bare knuckle, gritty, having fun at times, and also really bringing you some good action. I feel like this is one of his best works, like I said, in over a decade for me. But talking about best work, man, I'm unapologetically a Jason Statham fan. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say this is Jason Statham's best role. He's, you know, breaking out of the box and giving you some more acting sensibilities that we might not see in his action films. No, that's not this film. But if you like Jason Statham kicking ass, you know, he's fighting sharks. He's fighting against these people that are supposed to be unstoppable, but he finds a way to stop them. Look, man, this is Jason Statham doing his Jason Statham thing. Not a lot of dialogue. He has an interesting moral compass. If you've seen the trailer, The Beekeeper, long story short of this film, he is an individual that used to work for an offshoot, kind of off-the-radar military group who's retired. He's a beekeeper, literally take care of bees. You have Phylicia Rashad, who's his neighbor. She gets scammed. This is some money situation, and all of her savings, her life savings, her life's work has been taken away from her. And we see Jason Statham is on a path of revenge. Very much a story you've seen a bazillion times. And this isn't breaking new ground. But this is the thing about me with genre-based movies, action, horror, comedy, sci-fi. We're going to see similar stories. And there's only so many stories you can tell and be reinventive and reinvent the wheel. This film isn't doing that. But it's when you allow yourself to play into the tropes, have fun while doing it, poking fun of a guy that goes by the Beekeeper. The film didn't have enough puns, and we'll talk about that later, but this film is operating and knows what it's doing while doing it, right? With that said, it's not perfect by any means, but I had fun with it, man. The story to me, and I'm going to go in and out of the positives and negatives, but the story to me takes itself a little bit too serious at times. Like, there's this whole, without giving too much away, again, if you've seen the trailer, there's just, again, a scheme, and there's a fraud company, and the escalation of that plot gets more into, like, Tom Clancy, corrupt government type of things with Josh Hutcherson character, who I thought was miscast in the role, but the escalation of plot took itself a little bit too serious for my taste. But when the film is operating at the perfect volume of knowing what it is and watching Jason kind of taking down these different corporations and these people that are part of this food chain that takes advantage of the weak and takes advantage of the elderly, that's when the film was truly at its best for me. I got out of the film every now and again. The plot's a little bit too serious, a little bit convoluted, and there's also some performances that are operating on a different level. Like they realize the movie that they're in, but they also kind of, again, takes itself too seriously. And I'm referring to, there are 2 FBA agents that are on the hunt for Jason Statham's character. Those actors were, again, they knew the movie they were in, but then sometimes they didn't. So it was like, tonally speaking, some characters, some performances didn't entirely work for me. But I tell you what works for me as far as not only Jason Statham, but my man, Jeremy Irons, y'all. Put him in every film. Like, he's a legend. We all know this. His filmography speaks for itself. Jeremy Irons is great. Like, he knows what movie he's in. I loved him in this movie. I wish we got more of him in this movie. And I also wish we would have gotten more of Jason Statham. Besides being the killing bee machine that he is in this film, I wish we would have gotten more of, like, there are little moments that we see him figuring things out, interacting with certain people, and those moments were fun. I wish there were more of those moments with Jason Statham. Again, not taking anything away from him kicking ass, but I just wish there was more like the quieter sit-down moments to kind of dive into the character and kind of explore his backstory, because besides just like he used to work for this offshoot, military group, there's really not much more to family, friends, and really dive into the moral compass of this character, which, again, I'm not expecting a character-driven study on this type of narrative in this type of film. But overall, man, just wrapping it up as we get closer to home. Again, let me know in the comments now if you guys want to see more of these kind of out-of-theater reactions, / in the car, come with me type of videos. Let me know in the comments now. But I would say this film is operating at a level that it knows that it needs to be in. It drives in the lane that it needs to be in. It takes itself a little bit too seriously sometimes, not only from a narrative perspective, but also from some of the performances. But I really enjoyed the action. I didn't really speak on that too much. The action is pretty great. There are some very visceral, violent, hand-to-hand combat moments that I really enjoyed. I thought that the film, when it knew what it was, it played into the puns that I wish there was in the film a little bit more. But I would say this is one of the better films I've seen so far in the early part of the year, which we all know this time of the year is not the best movies. Sometimes studios just dump it out just to get it out there, but this is definitely better than Night Swim and some other movies I've seen early in the year. So it's not perfect. It's having fun. It's, if you're a Jason Statham fan, and if you are someone like me that's been looking forward to getting David Ayer back to kind of his old school type of filmmaking ways, then this is something to watch. I'm going to give The Beekeeper a 3.5 out of 5. And listen, if there are more Beekeeper stories to be told with Jason Statham and even bringing back David Ayer, I would check it out. But hey, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments, pros, cons, all that good stuff, what worked, what didn't work. I appreciate you watching this video. If you want to see more of these, click this button right here to subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my most recent content that I have on the channel. Check out my most recent review. You all stay safe. I don't recommend driving and reviewing, but we'll add more of this to the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next one.